Yo, everybody, we are in Scorch the Fears, episode 27. We have the amazing Rashell Jarvis on here. She is beautiful. She is amazing. She's a dancer, I just learned. Fun fact, guys. I don't know if anyone knew that. I definitely didn't. So I'm super excited for this. Rashell has been an amazing help to me when I've had like transactional issues, especially with like really complicated ones. So I'm super excited to be on here. I'm going to tell the people on Instagram real quick. I'm going to get the link for you guys in here so you can join the actual stream where actual cool things are happening. And I'm going to pin it to that. And then we're going to make it happen. I saw this once. Let's see if I can figure it out and then pin that. Hopefully. Pin comment. Love it. Okay, cool. So amazing stuff. Rashell, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing really, really good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. We finally made it happen,
It's
all
good.
the busy schedules. Yeah. So super excited to be here.
Love it. You're in San Diego now, right?
Yeah. So I'm based in Oceanside right now. So that's where me and my family are
at. Okay. I love it. It's cool. I'm glad you moved to California. California is amazing. San Diego is my second favorite place in California. So I'm happy.
Yeah, we love it. It's been amazing. The people, the weather. Come on. I can't say enough about it. So yeah, it's
true enough. So let's start it off because literally right before this podcast, you just started talking to me and I don't know which one you did first. So was it the dancing company and then the other companies? Basically, the question is like, what's the story? How did you start? What was your first entrepreneurial journey? Was it when you were 9 selling cookies? Was it with the dancing company? Was it real estate when you were working for Pace, or what was it? Like, give me the beginning. Paint me the picture.
Yeah. So growing up in Arizona, I had 2 parents, and this is implemental to kind of my story. That were I had such a solid figure of examples where that entrepreneurial lifestyle was a part of what I saw growing up. So my mom was a psychologist, and she did transpersonal psychology, which is basically the art of being able to dance through the form of therapy. As we all know, there's a lot of people that don't resonate with just sitting on a couch and talking to people. So she was able to help at-risk youth. So I started performing and being involved. She was a stay-at-home mom that got her doctorate's degree, became a doctor, a psychologist, and all these things, right? While like handling everything with us 3 kids. So the ultimate form of like what a boss woman is made of, luckily, was my mom. And so we grew up dancing, and it was multicultural dancing. So, anything from doing the hula, Tahitian, to flecortical dancing, all the different things, which is really important to me. Also, I really believe in, and we can get into this a little bit later, but understanding the identity of the person that you are to be able to really get down to the nitty gritty, to focus on who you are so you can show up in the world. So that's kind of where it started off for me, is just seeing those figures of my parents doing that. My dad came from another country and kind of seeing his struggles. So the bar was set pretty high, even though the pressure was never given to me. Obviously, you want to be like the people that you love the most. So as I saw my mom doing these things, I naturally had a love for culture, had a love for dancing. And so we have participated nationally in so many different events. Nice. At a nonprofit organization, to where we brought people together and we would teach them things through their culture about dancing, along with incorporating some psychology in it. And that became where we operated a business, to where now I have a dance studio. So we have girls in the ages of like my daughter's age, about 6, that'll come and learn like some hula dancing. Cute. Yeah, and then we'll have older girls that are learning Tahitian dancing, And so we do a multicultural thing where they can come in and they can learn, and then we will perform. There's like a festival in Arizona called the Aloha Festival, so we perform there every year. And here in San Diego, they have some of the best Polynesian festivals here. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I would say as a business since my 20s, but I've been dancing my whole life. So that is music, dancing is like, that's kind of like the way my soul works. So,
Well,
it really resonates with me. Yeah.
so I'm gonna, because obviously this is like a big part of who you are.
Yeah.
How does it relate to entrepreneurship? You were talking about like figuring out your personalities through it, which I find fascinating. How does it relate to entrepreneurship?
Well, let me break it down to four things. Okay. So let's talk about a hobby. Let's talk about a job. Let's talk about a career. And let's talk about our vocation.
Hmm.
A hobby is something that you do for pure enjoyment. For me,
Right.
that's sports. I love it. I enjoy it. I would do it every day. I don't need it. It just brings joy in my life. A job is strictly transactional. So let's say for my son, who's going to be 19, working at the golf course or at Tilly's, he knows he's getting a check and he's going to be able to spend that on the weekend. So that's a job. Now, a career is something where we can align some things that are purposeful to us.
Hmm.
My career is real estate. Real estate is not my passion, but is my vehicle to be able to create wealth, to be able to do my passion projects, which is dancing and my retail shop brand that I have. Now, how does that align with that? The last one is called vocation. So, vocation is something that is your God given abilities. Now, whether you
Hmm.
believe in God, a higher power, whatever you want to call it was something that was innately given to you that cannot be taken away.
Love
So,
it.
whatever was given to Jonah at that point in time, no matter if there's someone else that does it, it is specific and unique to you,
Hmm.
which makes you, hopefully, you understand how special we all are. And this is how it aligns with the identity and the purpose is I know that my vocation has to do with dance. I know that it has to do with music. And I know it has to do with speaking because when I am in those scenarios, I can feel that I'm sitting in what a lot of entrepreneurs like to call your superpower. It
Hmm.
feels right. It flows. There's not a lot of blocks. It comes very natural. And the bottom line is if you have an entrepreneurial path, be very intentional about which one it is. All of them are okay. But if you can align your purpose with something, and your purpose is going to be found in your identity of who you are, how you were raised, what makes you tick, all of the nitty gritty of what you are like behind the scenes. That's the ultimate form, in my opinion, of an enjoying life. I live by the theme of life is to be enjoyed now, not later, and that we are to create the life that we want to live right now. And our business kind of operates outside of that. So it's a long winded answer, but I feel like understanding those four things and knowing where you're at helps you in the entrepreneurial lifestyle to be intentful because being an entrepreneur, you got to get used to the swings. A lot of people don't know what the swings are, right? We're talking
You
highs.
and me definitely know the swings. We've had the swings with that
Yes.
one deal. That was
Yes, we have. And so if you're just, if you know that it's a job, then you don't take it personal. But if you have your purpose aligned with your career, like I do with real estate, where I really like this is strictly coming because I want to do something with you, Jonah. This is
right.
not just so I can get out there and talk about my business. I have come with an intention. So it feels good when I do things. And so I think that's the ultimate way to live. By all means, life is not pretty every single day. But if we can intently align those with our entrepreneur, it helps us to have something to hold on to grasp onto, to continue on that journey. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. It attracts a lot of people, but they do not realize that, and this, like it doesn't matter what type of entrepreneur you are, it's you don't have someone knocking on your door to wake up in the morning, the highs and the lows. So when you have a purpose aligned with it kind of helps you to be able to handle those swings.
So, Rochelle, how do you, because there was a lot there, so I want to dissect some of it, some of the parts that I really want people to get out of it. How does one align their purpose with their business? Like you were talking about the four different things, hobby,
Yeah.
like, and then more like a career. Um, how do you, because I feel like a lot of people are like that, where it's like I didn't it's not like I have a love for houses. That's not like
Right.
I wasn't Bob the Builder. I didn't even like Legos really. Like I was never a builder whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I do love helping people. And that's for me how it aligns is I see how it can help people so much in every single
Right.
facet of their life. So how do you align it with your purpose? And how do you do it specifically? And how might you suggest someone else finds out how to do it? Does that make
Right.
sense?
Absolutely. Um, so this is called the work. This is getting to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use real life examples, and they're going to be about me because I'm the only one that I could talk about where I know like what
You're the
happened. But
one on the screen.
yeah, so being a mom, and this is going to resonate with a lot of your women viewers. Being a mom, sometimes even being a woman, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my 20s, I got divorced. And I remember I finally had a time where I thought, oh my gosh, people were asking me questions and I didn't know what my favorite color was. I didn't know what restaurant I liked. I didn't even know my hobbies. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
I completely lost myself in something that is very acceptable in this world is being a mom and staying up late and being an entrepreneur. But I forgot to put myself first. So this is why I call it a work. You need to have a practice every single day that will help you resonate and be able to feel and think and meditate about
Mm-hmm.
the person that you are. Now, it's called a practice because even though you say, Rashell said I got to get a practice, it's a journey. So the way that I know myself in my 40s, I didn't know myself in the same way in my 30s or my 20s. So it needs to be something every single day that resonates with you. Meaning for me, that's music, meditation. Sometimes it's in my car because it's the most quiet place in my environment with all my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So do something every single day to where you can align and think about all of those things and give yourself that moment to get to know yourself again.
So I'm gonna write that down for our audience. Step one,
Do the
know
work.
thyself.
Yeah, know thyself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I honestly feel like the hobbies that I talked about, I actually started playing sports again just recently. And
Oh,
I
what
feel
sports?
I grew up playing softball.
Oh, I
So
love it.
yeah, I played everything, but my love is like softball, volleyball, and I'm getting back into golf. So I noticed something interesting when I started playing. There was like a childlike something that just came out in me that I didn't realize I still had. Like I got my competitive edge. Like I would, it just the feeling of moving your body like that allowed me, I feel, to think more creatively. I do feel like um, the whole idea of we store certain things in our bodies, and that's probably another different conversation. But moving your body and doing things can kind of help you embark on past feelings where you think, oh my gosh, I forgot that I love to do this. It's like
Hmm.
how strong our senses are. Have you ever walked? I remember when I was a realtor and you'd like walk into the homes, you could smell like the chocolate chip cookies. Like chocolate chip cookies reminds me of my mom. That reminds me of my
Mhm.
home. So when you move your body and then I'm smelling like the dirt, it kind of brought back like, oh my gosh, things that I had forgotten about. So I would say that would be
Mhm.
the second step is go back to you where we had that carefree life and we were just, and that's probably like in our youth, right? Where all we wanted to do is just have fun, right? We wanted to play football or whatever it might be. So continue to do those hobbies while you are having that practice so you can get back to the ways that it used to be. And I guarantee you it'll bring back some feelings or thoughts where you'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So connect a really interesting way to connect with who you are is go back to childhood. Like start thinking like maybe put yourself in some experiences that you haven't done since you were a kid that'll connect with like an inner being in yourself that you might have lost. Is that kind of what I'm getting here? Something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, along with the daily practice because the bottom line is that I think it's like age 24 or 25, don't quote me, but it's around there. We are living subconsciously at that point in time for the rest of our life. What
Hmm.
does that mean? At that point in time, we've bought into the stories, we've bought into all the different things about what we were told or brought, into our environment as a youth. At that point in time, we've already bought into those things. Now, those things can be changed, but that's why everything is always going back. Now, I don't believe we should ever live there, but I do feel like having that journey of finding yourself, and some of that might be a healing journey of forgiveness. It might be a healing journey of grace, because we do the best that we can as humans, but we are very imperfect. And that's also another part of the journey, is sometimes you're going to see things that you don't like. I heard this quote the other day, and it struck me. I had someone that wasn't too nice to me last week and said some things. I was very proud of myself in the way that I reacted, but it happened to be, I heard that quote and it said, whatever you see in the external world, whether that be in people, colleagues, relationships, is what you need to fix internally. And I thought, holy shit, like that's a high level of accountability. So if I'm like, Jonah, why are you acting like that? Or why is my husband acting this way? Or I can't stand that person, or nitpicking. It is our reality, because that's the way that we see the world, And so part of that journey is there are going to be some things we're going to have to be very accountable for. And some of it's going to be fun, and some of it's going to be like, you have to get through it, right? But anything worth having requires work, just like entrepreneurship, right? When you start closing those deals, all of the work, losing the earnest money, all the different things. But when you get there, it's very gratifying because you did the work.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. So before I keep doing mindset, I gotta keep on the story and like who you are, so that people actually know who you are. Because the issue is I know who you are, so I just want to keep talking about mindset stuff. But let's keep doing the journey. So you started by like seeing it with your parents. They owned a dancing school. That's how you say it. And then keep going.
Yeah. So what had happened there is I graduated from high school when I was 16.
Yeah, nice.
I'm a hardcore. Well, yeah. Well, I love to learn. I mean, high school, let's be honest.
It's not hard.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment, but I think anybody could do it. But I was so eager to get to the next step, and that still has followed me in my personality. So as I was dancing and doing all the things, at that point in time, I learned like, oh, I really like school. I wanted to become a lawyer. And so I wanted to move to the East Coast. But at that point in time, the work that we're talking about, I was having some issues growing into a woman, probably being in college a little bit too early than I should have been. And I happened to have my first son. So, and at that point in time, that was a pivotal moment in my life, to where it was kind of like the universe, God, or whatever you want to call it, was like, time to do your work, sweetheart. And it was like, you have someone depending on you. Luckily, once again,
how young were you?
When I had him, I was 17.
Yeah, that's hard.
So, yeah, I was really when I had him, I turned 18 just a few months later, but still, those are your growing years, right? You're not even like completely intellectually even grown to the part of knowing what to do, but had a great support system, a great family, a great mother. So being a mom is something that I always wanted to do, luckily. And that's kind of started my journey as to, okay, I love my passion project. I want to be on my own. So what can I do to start earning some money? And the first thing that I thought of was being a teller. Being a teller allowed me to work at
like a bank teller?
A bank teller, yeah.
Okay. So
that allowed me to have a semi-professional job. They helped pay for my school. So I was like, win-win. They would let me work part-time, all the different things. So I started off there, and with probably about a year and a half, I was a manager, and I was opening up branches. And I started to see this trend with myself where I would get somewhere, be very observant, kind of take everything in, get to a certain point, and then I'd get bored. I'd always get bored. So I went from retail. And during this time, I got married. I had another kid. I'm the mom that always loved to work. It was my thing.
So I need to ask you a question, because obviously I'm not a mom, and I'm not even a dad either. So I want to know, because I think you might be the first one who's touching on this a lot.
Mhm.
How does one balance being such a young mom, work, a husband? I don't know. I don't know if you said you started a business yet, but like, there might be some viewers who have a similar experience and want to make money in order to take care of their family. But how did you balance that? How did you deal with that? Because that sounds like a lot.
It is. Well, there's no such, I don't believe in the word work-life balance. I feel like the bottom line is you do it because you have to do it,
Hmm.
and you have people depending on you. But I think the most important part of doing that, now that I've aged and I'm a little bit older, is you got to be willing to make those sacrifices. So
Hmm.
there was a lot of what they call mom guilt and all the different things of not being at everything. But I always felt like I was setting an example for my boys and now my daughter to be able to see a strong woman be able to balance those things, not because well, at one point I did have to, but when I got married, I didn't necessarily have to, but because I wanted to, because
Hmm.
I really thought at that point in time that I was taking care of myself. But what I didn't realize was the career wasn't a full picture of Rashell. So that's why I said I lost a few things, but you only do the best that you can with the knowledge that you have. So
Right.
we learn, right? And um, so that's what I would say is you do your best, have a lot of grace, willing to make those sacrifices, and have a supportive family. And if it's not family, it's friends. If it's not friends, it's coworkers, or just have a really solid group around you that understands what you're doing, that can really root for your rise and support you in the best way that we can. And we know that doesn't come with all scenarios, and sometimes you just got to be the strong one and kind of make it work. But it's just kind of understanding what that process is going to look like. But
Okay.
so, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
I'm like thinking if I want to take anything more from that. There's a lot there, and it's like I don't know if how much I want to touch on it, in the sense that I do want to touch on, I think, the part where, like, I just want to, I guess I'll just end with, like, because there is the part where you have to do it, and then I'm curious if also there's something you can add of just like, like, because I know a few women in my life who sometimes struggle with being the strong one. I think,
Mhm,
like, my parents divorced, and I think
mhm.
my mom struggled with this a little bit. So like, I'm just curious, like, what advice you might give to a woman, like single mom. It sounds like you also got, when you got divorced, being
Mhm.
able to take care of the children and being that strong one. Like, is there any advice you can give?
Oh my gosh, you just gotta take care of yourself.
Mhm.
Single moms are, I really feel like, very unique individuals. There's innate qualities that we come as mothers to, luckily that God, or whatever you wanna call it, gives you to be able to do this balancing act. But any single moms out there, just you need to find some type of support group. I didn't do that. It's a very lonely process, but they are the ultimate boss babes. I mean, these are the girls that just get shit done.
Right.
And you need to understand, to really pay attention to your environment, and not everything is going to last forever. So be intentional with your journey, be intentional with where you're going, so you can create those thoughts that create those habits, that create those goals, so you can get where you're going to be. But being that strong person all the time, you don't have to be that strong person all the time. You're not supposed to be. So break sometimes, cry sometimes, get mad sometimes, and realize that that is okay. And have those places where you can go have a glass of wine, or leave your kids with the babysitter for 2 hours, whatever
Right.
you can, and don't feel to be strong all the time, because that's just not attainable, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. So having grace with yourself, definitely.
I love it. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So I was in retail banking, got bored there, went over to business banking. During that time, this was before my divorce, this lady would come in with her 2-year-old daughter, and she would deposit these checks. And I kind of, to be honest with you, was a little envious of her, because I'm like, what is she doing? He is like coming up here in her sweats with her cute little daughter, with her Starbucks, and not working a 9 to 5. And that stuck in my brain for a long time. She was a realtor. So I went over to
Mm.
business banking and worked with SBA and small businesses. And this is where my love for small businesses came out, and being able to see the entrepreneur in their day to day, growing their business, their new LLCs. I became a relationship manager, worked my way up there. And this is when I got kind of the urge to like start another business. And this is where I started the dance company that I was going to do, because I thought it's something that I knew how to do. People were paying for lessons. I've been doing it. I didn't need any more knowledge. I could give value, and it's something that I could do on the side to be able to create more income. And it happened to be one of my passion projects.
How
So
old were you when this was when you were starting to do this? I'm just curious.
I think I was about 25, 24, 25. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool.
and then I started doing that. It got really popular to where we started doing shows and things of that sort. Working like 40 hours a week wasn't something that I really needed to do, but I was bored again. There is a side of me to where I have passion, but there's a side that I'm the nerd of me always has to be like entertained. So I will always have business in my life. It's just something that I know about myself. So I said, okay, let's try a different industry. So I went into investments. And this is where I got into mutual funds. So I worked for Vanguard, a couple of the mutual investments, and I learned a lot about investing, diversification, the stock market,
So you
all.
got your dancing business, kind of like side business, and then you have a job that's stocks and mutual funds.
Yep, yep. So
Okay.
I was working there part time. That's the time where I went through my divorce and
Hmm.
ended up having to go full time and kind of start that cycle again. Didn't make probably the best financial decisions, as most 20-year-olds do. When you have extra money, you're supposed to save and invest. And was living a great life, and was in a property that I personally couldn't afford on my own. So that was another pivotal moment in my life, is wanting to keep my kids in the home that we raised them in, for the pure fact of our community. It was my neighbors would come and check on my kids. The bus would pick them up outside of my home. And I knew if I moved, I wasn't going to get that. So I knew at that point in time, I was the sole provider that I needed to once again get back into the workforce. And that's where I started doing full-time mutual funds, became another relationship manager, couldn't pay as much attention to my side business anymore, just because obviously going through something like that is an emotional, mental type
Yeah.
of thing. It takes so draining on you that focusing on just my 9 to 5 is all I could do at that point in time. So,
Yeah.
and that was another thing, like losing that type of business and not having it in my life was something that I kind of beat myself up for a long time, because I knew it was something that I love. But once again, back to the point of your journey of grace, all the different things as you are navigating that. So,
So because I like doing this. I'm not gonna get too deep, but I like going into the darkness, like where there are times in life where you just get walloped by it. Like, then that sounds like one of those times where you're getting walloped a
yeah,
little bit. And
yeah,
I've had those times too, for sure. And I'm curious, like, and I think it goes back to this. And I'm curious if you had the support network when it was happening, but I always feel like the support network is kind of everything. Otherwise, you just completely lose yourself. Like, it's just, there is like your purpose starts getting warped to
mm-hmm.
like where you don't even see it anymore. So I was curious, like, so do you have anything to add on to that? Was it mainly your support network that got you through it? What might be something you'd say to somebody who has children, dealing with a divorce, trying to figure out how to make money to take care of them? Like, I know I
Yeah.
kind of already asked that question, but I'm curious if there's anything more you'd add.
You can't change anything in your life or any of your behaviors with the same thoughts that you had in the past. So
I love that.
people that know you can say, knock it off. I remember my girlfriend would be like, get out of the house. We're going to the movies. I
I love
literally was
that.
so engulfed with depression and anxiety that I couldn't even roll out of bed. Obviously, my kids, I was able to do what I needed to do. Like getting them to school was such a task.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I got myself into therapy and I realized there were things from the past that I needed to do. And that therapist was a godsend to me. Normally, you have to go through a couple to find the right one, but
Right.
I found her the first time and she gave me all the new thoughts that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes the world says dumb things like go out and get drunk, go and do all these different things.
Right.
Time, you deserve it, you're a mom. And it would be easy to go down that path. But I needed someone besides like a couple of my friends and my family that could speak to me. But see, this is the thing though, when you go through a divorce, it's a divorce for the family. So
Right.
that gets very muddy too, right? And so you need an outside source that can be unbiased and can give you really good advice on what you need to do. And making sure that I saw her and was relentless in going when I didn't even want to be there was a pivotal moment to me to be able to finally get sick of my own crap and to be like, okay, it's time to keep moving. It's time to move on. Life goes on. And that's the thing, life does go on. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're exactly right. Your environment and getting new thoughts so you can change your behavior.
So what are the new thoughts?
Yeah, the new thoughts are knowing that you're worthy, for sure. I think everything comes down to love and worth. Anger, frustration, anxiety, these are all surface emotions, but there's something always underneath. Going through a divorce triggered me on things that I had to deal with. So it's getting back to my worthiness. It's getting back to forgiveness of how
Mm-hmm.
did I take hand in this? Why did it not work out? And really just learning to love myself and the
Mm-hmm.
new that I was becoming. Everything ended up coming down to that. No matter what the scenario was, he did this, I did this, or I did this, or I made this mistake. It was always either I acted out because I didn't feel worthy, or I did the right thing because I was honing in on my worthiness. And so it was a constant battle of forgiveness, healing, and knowing that I deserve a second chance and I'm worth it. And there's going to be someone out there for me. But more importantly, I can be good on my own too.
Love
I
it.
can be okay on my own. So that's what those thoughts were, constant reminding of how I'm worthy, to have an amazing life.
We need to give you an inspirational movie. I'll get
Oh,
Steven Spielberg on it. Um, Also, I'm just because I like saying this too because I think people sometimes like think that it needs to happen in a certain amount of time too. I feel like people randomly put time limits on it. What
yeah.
like how long did this whole process take you like to kind of start getting your groove back, you think?
Oh my goodness. I would say after a year, I started to see things differently, but I would say 2 years was the time that I was like, I'm good. Like I'm
Right.
good. Whatever everyone brings me, or whatever the universe brings me, I'm good with that. I wasn't searching for something. But I agree with that, and that's such a good point, Jonah. Is don't put a time limit on your healing because there are some people that are quicker at it, that take longer, because we don't know what that traumatic experience triggered. Some people have
Right.
very serious trauma, some people don't. So don't put a time limit on it and just do the work.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it so much. So okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
So going through mutual funds, dealing with the divorce, and then what?
Yeah. So I got back to doing that 9 to 5. Was really doing really well there. Really enjoyed the mutual fund side. And then I got another job with another mutual fund company, and but I could not start within 6 weeks of putting in my 2 weeks. And at that point in time, I was making all of my bills, but I was still living kind of paycheck to paycheck. And I was so stressed about it because this new job was going to give me opportunity. And I was like, but how am I going to pay for my bills? My parents were very well educated, but because of their background of poverty and the way that they grew up, they did a lot of things for free. So I am the one that's breaking those generational curses that I deserve to get paid for things, or that it's okay to make good money. And so that was another journey in itself. But so I had a really good friend that I grew up with in Arizona, and he said, Rashell, I work at this college. You can come in. Training's like for 4 weeks. You'll get paid for it. And I was like, oh, a break. Like I could just sit there. And he goes, and then for the 2 weeks that you're on the field, you can just kind of like, you can help me do stuff. So what an amazing person he was. And so I looked at it as a break because he knew I wasn't going to be there. So I was so excited, put in my 2 weeks and went there. And
sorry, what were you doing there? What was it?
It was at the University of Phoenix. So it was like being a counselor there. And
okay.
I had 4 weeks of training. So when I got out of training, I remember getting into my logging in on my phone, and I didn't even know how to do that because I didn't pay attention at all. Because I was like,
right.
I was there, I wasn't sleeping, but I was just so enjoyed. Because you know how sales is, it's like always like this. It's like I did it this month. What am I doing next month? I didn't know about cash flow and creative finance at that time. So it was always like I met my goals and what I got to do next month. So I was enjoying these 4 weeks. Within that time, obviously, I made friends in training and getting to know people, being very
so
open.
I'm so confused. So you were training to be a counselor, like a counselor that talks about like emotions, or is it like financial counseling? Sorry,
financial. Oh no, financial. Yeah.
Financial counseling. So you're learning how to be like a financial advisor, kind of?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just double checking. I was like not sure. So you're taking your skills from what you were learning in mutual funds, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna start learning how to be a financial advisor. I'll get paid for it while I'm learning. And
yeah.
okay. Just double checking.
And I can get over to my job that I had. And like I said, my friend was a manager, so he was okay with this. I grew up with him. He was just trying to help me, which was amazing. So within that time, I've been doing good mentally, all the different things. I met some friends, and I happened to meet my new husband there, which was funny because I was there for 6 weeks. And the 6 weeks that I had left, him and I had just connected. And at that point in time, I was a single mom. He didn't have any kids. I was like, this guy can't handle me. Like, there's no way. I was like, that process.
This guy is not about to do this.
No. And I was like, and I'm a Latina, like all the things, like, thank you, sweetheart, but no. But he once again was definitely my person. And when things are meant to be and you accept them and you are ready to have them, it ended up working out. And at that point in time, as I went over to that other mutual funds company, we got married probably like a year and a half later after we had dated. And
where are we? How old are you now? Like 30?
I'm probably like 28. Yeah, 28, 29. Yeah.
Okay.
We got married, and he's helped me raise my kids. And so, and then we had some more babies. But this was the time, because I had that income again, I thought, okay, what is it that I want to do? That lady in the bank stuck with me. So I'm like, I'm going to get my realtor's license.
I love it.
Now, this is another thing that a lot
How
of
many
people...
babies do you have? How many kids do you have?
I have 5.
Amazing.
I know,
Amazing.
right?
I love it.
Because I'm like, it's amazing though. I got blessed with they're all my best friends. Like, I don't know what I did to deserve that, but they're just such kind, amazing human beings.
Love it.
When I married my husband, I got pregnant. And I was sick. I just found out I was pregnant that weekend. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because it was another pivotal experience in my life.
Because I keep asking you, that's why.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Yeah. I woke up and I had this major headache. And so I went back to sleep. And I guess my oldest son, Antonio, came in and was trying to talk to me. And he said I was just kind of like mumbling. And so he went over to his dad and said, Dad, something's wrong with my mom. Like, something's wrong with her. And my husband kind of woke me up, and the whole side of my face was slooped. So,
oh no.
Right. And at that point in time, the age that I was, no one anticipated that I was having a stroke.
Right.
By the time we got to the emergency room, they don't have the medicine they have these days, but the stroke was irreversible. So a lot of people don't know that I completely lost my ability to speak. I didn't know how to speak. I couldn't write. I couldn't do anything like that. And I had to relearn how to do that. So I was not only, imagine what it does to your body.
Yeah.
going through that, not only does that say like how amazing my husband is, he took care of me for probably about 2 years, literally. And I went to speech therapy for about 2 or 3 years, and I can still feel the effects. But my speech therapist was amazing. So my brain's always working. If I can't think of a word, I think of the other word, and it's always going back and forth. And
I'd
uh,
have no idea. You're speaking fine. I
thank you.
literally have no clue.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, and so, obviously another pivotal experience in my life to one, when you have your health, you just don't appreciate it
Right.
until it's taken away. Two is I was listening to Ed Milet talk at the All In that I was in this last couple of weeks, and he talked about one more day. What would you do if you had one more day?
Hmm.
And I definitely should have lost my life per what the doctors told me. That I was
Yeah.
very lucky. Um, and so all of those different things, when you have those types of experiences, it takes your vision from here to like here.
Right.
Um, and I would never want to go through that again. But I'm so thankful for that experience because one, I do appreciate my health a lot. And two, I look at life a little bit more differently in my relationships. And really, I find myself to be a very good friend. And I think I'm a good wife. I think my
I
husband
believe
might
it.
say I'm a good wife, but at least I know that I have that basis of always trying to be better because you never know what's going to happen. And so after that point in time, I was like gun ho. That lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, I'm getting my real estate license. I got it in 4 weeks, passed my test the first time. And I went and got hired. And I was like, teach me, teach me, teach me, teach me, teach me. And drove all of my bosses crazy. Um, did really good as a buyer's agent, did really good as a listing agent. And I thought, I'm good at sales. Holy hell. I knew that in the banking, but I thought I could close deals. I'm very,
Right.
very good at closing deals. And then I heard my boss in his office, and we did these on Mojo Dialer. We would call and say, do you want a cash offer? If you want a cash offer, call this number back. And they would call these numbers back. We would pre-qualify them. And the ones that were ready to sell in the next 30 days, kind of what we do right now with cold calling, we would send over to our cash buyers. As I looked at these
Hmm.
contracts, I was like, no spuds, no Benzers, all cash,
So
no.
just for people to know, spuds, benzers, those are, you want to explain them real quick? I know they're Arizona terms for like repairs, but go
Yeah,
say it real quick because I don't even know what a spud is, but I've heard
yeah.
case about benzers.
Yeah, SPUD is a seller property disclosure. So when you are listing a property, the seller has to let you know everything that they know about the property. And the BINSR is the response to the SPUDs. So what that basically says is it's the buyer inspection report. So it's like, these are the repairs that we have to negotiate. It's kind of like the last negotiation. When you take all of that out and you just buy the property as is at a discount and all cash, because when you have a funding like a conventional funder like Wells Fargo or Chase, sometimes their pre-qualification, sometimes they don't get qualified at the end. And then the deal, so in my mind, I was thinking all of these different things are out of a traditional transaction. I want to do that. I can close deals. I will be able to get more on my commissions because these deals are so much easy because of taking out all of those different messy parts of the transaction.
Right.
So I went to my boss and I bugged him for probably about 4 weeks until he finally told me, I like you where you're at. You're doing great. And I want you to stay there. So I'm a
Hmm.
Scorpio.
I can already tell Rashell. Yeah, like I know you. I'm like, hell no, Rachelle's not gonna take that. That's like even just saying it like that for a personality like you, Rashell, I can tell would just be like, all right, I'm out. Just
Yeah.
because you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely put me in a box is probably the most uncomfortable place. And this is why I value a lot of these interviews too, Jonah, and it's kind of what I really wanted to do this year is because people don't know me besides a TC. And I'm really good at TC, but I'm better at closing deals, and
That's
when
like
people,
so interesting to me because I definitely didn't know that. Because I mean,
yeah,
obviously, I know you as a TC because you were
yeah.
Pace's TC.
Yeah, yeah.
So I love it.
But we'll get into that because the TCs that we have are a little bit different, as you know, than a regular like admin TC that just pushes paperwork around. But anyway, so he told me that. And so I was like, I'm out. I'm out. And I'm going to, at that point in time, I was really getting good at my practice of manifestation and all the different things. And I was following Pace and some other people and looking for an opportunity. And I said, what kind of value can I bring to someone in the investment world so I could be on their team? So I was thinking,
Hmm.
they know how to close the deals, they know everything, but what do they not like to do? Paperwork. They do
Right.
not like to do paperwork.
So,
I
Rochelle, before I'm going to interrupt you, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
no, go
because
ahead.
I think this is something critical for a lot of people. Because I find it like I know a lot of people like you who are like, I want to work for somebody else first. I want to understand, like something in me might tell me that, but I'm not sure. What like made you know that like this would be better for me than trying to start my own thing? Because I know a lot of people who tried to start their own thing maybe had some pride and ego and didn't do it,
Yeah,
even though they really were meant to be working for somebody else. Not saying that's you because you have tons of
right.
businesses now, but I'm just saying, like, you get what I'm trying to say?
100%. You have to be humble enough to be a student of life your whole life.
Right. Hmm.
Um, One thing, as we're talking about identity and journey, that I love about my culture is we really believe in elders, and we really believe that the people that came before us, we are to respect them, and whether we agree with them or not, we are to listen to them. And that
What
has,
culture are you? Like, what
uh,
ethnicity?
yeah. So I'm half a Salvadorian. My dad's from El Salvador, and my mom is Native American and white.
Oh,
I have
nice.
some like Italian in me, but that's generally, yeah,
Cool.
what I am. So I grew up learning that, if someone walks in and they're older than you, you give them your chair, like you listen, you have that respect. And so adopting to that principle was always easy for me, and I knew I had to learn. So in order to, and I think everybody's heard of this, to give someone value, like someone like Pace or any of the bigger guys in our market, I have to provide him something so I can sit there and I can learn and watch the environment, and to be around Cody Barton, which probably he's not talked about too much, but he taught me
Right.
so much. He was the person that I dealt with more than anybody else, and all the other people, of being able to sit there and be humble enough to learn at every step in the journey. And even in life, like I still have to be humble enough in my 40s to learn how to be a better mom, a better wife, a better person, a better friend. And once again, getting back to that new ideas and those thoughts, never feeling like I've made it, and always feeling like I'm in the journey of evolving all the
Right. Okay. Good answer.
time. Okay.
So, okay, so you're like, all right, what I could give to value to Pace or somebody else is paperwork. So,
Yes.
okay, going on.
Yeah. So I thought paperwork. I thought possibly I could get onto also acquisitions because I knew I could close, but I didn't want to be. When you're in acquisitions, it kind of in it's your whole life, right? You're closing deals, you're on appointments. So I wanted to do something once again back to that, trying to get that balance. And I thought, okay, paperwork would be something. I reached out to one of my old friends that I started in real estate with, and she was like, "Yeah, if I see anything, I'll let you know." And I kid you not, and I saved the text and the Facebook message. She goes, "Pace Morby needs a transaction coordinator." I
I
said,
love it.
"Stop." And I looked on his Facebook page. I messaged it. I screenshot it. He didn't answer in 5 minutes. I DMing him. And Pace, he's like always moving around and things like that. And he DM'd me. He goes, "Call me." Gave me his number. We talked that day, and he hired me that day. So,
Nice.
um,
How? What do you think made you the one who got hired by somebody as big as Pace that
uh-huh.
day?
You know what? I funny is I don't think I've really ever asked Pace that, but I think what I could see from this scenario is I was a little bit relentless. It wasn't like I'm gonna message him and wait. It was like I message him, he didn't respond. I'm gonna DM him. I'm gonna call him right away. Nothing's gonna get in the way of this
That's
opportunity.
a good thing for a TC too, because that person is also going to be constantly bugging the buyers or bugging the seller and stuff. So
Yeah.
I see that. I see that
Yeah.
being the reason why.
Yeah, and I think also I do believe that with most of the people in my life that I connected, I feel like me and Pace connected as long as I did with all the other people that I have in my relationships now in the real estate field, is that we connected in some way. But I mean, business wise, is I was able to help him where he needed the help and where his company needed the help. So even if we were to connect and be like, oh, we could be friends, if I didn't give him value, it wouldn't have
Oh,
worked
that's
out,
enough.
because that's the bottom line. But it was still my trial period, right? To see kind of what I could do. And so at that point in time, here's something that I feel like is really important. Here's why. Owning a business, I have noticed that two things. One, the entrepreneur lifestyle attracts everybody. Two, people don't realize what that type of work is. People get into the real estate field all the time and they want a 9 to 5. They want to take lunch at the same time. The real estate realm, there are some admin positions where you can do that, is not built that way. So thank goodness I came from the traditional side and I had the understanding that when I got a contract from the team at 7 p.m. that I was willing to send it out, and I didn't complain about it. That when
Hmm.
someone emailed me at 12 and at midnight, that doesn't mean I need to respond, but I understood the way the industry worked. So I felt like that really set me up for success. Otherwise, people that come in from it from a 9 to 5 sometimes, or realize, I think it funnels through people really quick. Would you agree? People that come into this type of realm of real estate,
What do you mean by funnel? Like
like,
they realize they need to work past that?
or I think it funnels people out that can't hang in the environment, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. The people who
Yeah.
can't it is a it is a Wild West type of industry, in my opinion. I mean, there is regulation, but also thing that I love and hate the most about real estate is anyone can do it. It's like
Yeah.
I love it because anyone can do it, but I hate it also because you get some wackarinos who try to do it.
So true.
So it's
Yeah.
anywho, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you have to live that hustle lifestyle. No, I don't believe in hustling to, for your whole life of your career, but I
Right,
feel like you got to understand that the way the industry works.
right,
And so you can put up boundaries and things of that sort, which I firmly believe in, but the real estate industry does not sleep. I mean, if you're going to get a deal on Saturday, you're most likely, you want your check, you're going to go, or if
right.
you reschedule. So I do feel like, back to what we were talking about, is giving someone value, making sure that you are a student of life and that you're humble enough to take feedback and understand the industry that you're getting into. And if it's not a good fit, amazing. You found out it's not a good fit. And then you can get on to what is a good fit. But just always having that mentality when you're wanting to level up. It's like, I'm leveling up at this point in time. And I had a good conversation with my new friend, Carlos Reyes, and he put a lot of pressure on me. And he was telling me about pressure and growth and how you have to feel comfortable with that. And it's not the most comfortable feeling. And we had
Right.
a conversation and he was like, do you know why I did that? I wanted to see what you were going to do. So I do feel like having that mentality and realizing that leveling up and growing is always going to be an uncomfortable process.
So how do you so I'm gonna to ask this question because I sort of know how to do it and I'm okay at it, I'd say. But how do you get people in your circle like Carlos Reyes and
Yeah.
Pace Morby and all of them? I know the answer you're gonna say, but I kind of want to hear you say it anyways.
Yeah. So I think a couple of different things that you need to do is, one, be in the environments. We hear about that all the time. But how I've gotten to know all of the people in Arizona, which is a lot of the bigger investors are there, is I've answered the calls when they've called me. So I do and will always give Pace credit for opening up that door for people to know
Right.
my name in the industry, always. But what I do understand is that I also had to prove who I was. So I was able to give those people value. And I was very, very clear about being in the right rooms, right? So I met Carlos at a Milwaukee event that I did with Tony Romero and I spoke at. So investing in yourself, investing in your business, absolutely, to be in the right room so you can network. It's a people business, you know, and being able to provide value to different people. How can I help you? There's a lot of people that go to these events and I sit back and I watch that are not talking, that are a little bit shy because they haven't gotten their first deal, or don't necessarily want to ask the questions because the questions sound dumb. You've got to have enough courage. And here's another quote, Jonah. Sorry, but Brene Brown says this. She goes, if you are not in the arena, of getting your ass kicked, I could care less about your opinion.
Damn,
And
I love that's a
so,
savage one. I like it.
and that's what I live by. I am getting my ass kicked time to time, and I listen to people like Carlos Reyes. I
Right.
listen to people, that are in my industry because they know what it's like. I listen to people that are grinding with me. If you're sitting in the spectator seats and you're watching me, I could care less about what you think because you don't know what it's like. You got to practice what you preach, right? And so that's what it is. And it's being able to, it's like when I saw Carlos introducing to him, this is what I do, this is my name. And you will connect with the right people. There are some people in the industry that are like Carlos Reyes and Pace Morby that I quite haven't connected with, but I feel like I don't know if we will connect. There's just different vibes and things like that.
Vibes.
Really do believe I believe in the universe, so you guys can call it whatever you want, will bring to you the type of person that you want to be. You'll connect with the people, have conversations with a lot of different people like, I just kind of wanted to get to know you, saw you, there's something that vibed a little bit differently, but have the courage to get out there and to advocate for yourself because nobody will advocate for you like you will.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Preach. I love it. So, okay, I forgot where we were in your story. You're working for Pace. You
Yeah.
just got the job with Pace.
Yeah. And
So you did it.
yeah, so over the I was so lucky to be in his team at that point in time because I got to see him right before he started Sub 2 and
Mhm.
going on the car rides. And not only, one thing that I learned from Pace is messy action. He was relentless and he made it happen. He's one of the best marketers and networkers that I know. But being a student of life was sitting and listening to what he did, how he leveraged himself. And sometimes when he didn't have it figured out, he got it figured out. And I realized that the analysis paralysis that we all hear about, I learned so much being on his team, sitting by Cody Barton. How did he ran the whole thing? How did he set his priorities? What did
Right.
he see first? What type of relationships did he value? All the different things. It was such an imperative part in my career to sit back and learn. And I ended up TCing for like Jerry Norton. I ended up TCing for a lot of other bigger people's names and really just seeing how their teams worked. And that was implemental to me when I started to start my own business. But I think what Pace knew was when he sent me a deal, he knew that I could close the seller. So although Pace is one of the best salespeople out there, he doesn't need anybody to close one of his sellers. He knew that when I got the contract, I could go over it, assure them, kind of push it over the finish line, even though he didn't need me to do that. And this is where Constant Close was kind of born into. All of my TCs have a sales background. So it's not like a TC to get on the phone with your seller and kind of help push it over the finish line.
Very rare.
Very
It's
rare.
very rare that the TC, because usually the personality type for a TC is not a closer. Those usually don't mix. That's a rare combination.
Yeah.
Like, right? So yeah, like I mean it's pretty
Yeah.
dope that you can do both. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. But what the value that I see, that what I hear of why people or why a lot of like my employees do that is because they see we're in the creative finance realm, right? The wholesale is a little bit different. It's pretty traditional. It's pretty much
Yeah.
the same thing. But in the creative side, the reason why people get drawn into the paperwork is because how many different elements do we have in a subject to deal, a hybrid deal, a wrap?
So many variables.
So many variables. You're exactly right. So there is so much value for you to not be a master TC, but for you to understand the concept so you can hire an expert, but so it'll help you to be able to close deals. And also the bottom line with investing is you got to pay attention to what you're investing in, right? You got to have diversification. You got to look at your financial environment. There's, you need to look at, have sub twos, novations, maybe some cash, some wholesale. And so, but with the creative finance, there are so many different variables. So it naturally will pull in people that are on the action steps. What? I want to learn the paperwork also. So that's what I see, at least on my side.
Cool. So
Yeah.
working for Pace, you're like, wait a minute, I'm really good at this. Why don't I start a transaction coordinating business? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Pace had helped me in the beginning to kind of start that and kind of gave me some contacts to be able to take it out on my own. So we did that. We initially created a business and sub to it first, which was amazing because the community there. So we were able to really help. And I was getting really good at aligning my processes. I think at one time, no joke, I had about anywhere from like 160 deals at one time. Now, keep in
Yeah.
mind, I was working from like 6 in the morning to probably like 2 or 3 at night, but I was so
So
excited
insane.
with this new position. That is not something that was attainable. I aged so much in those 2 years, but experiences in life, I was like, do you imagine what I learned in creative finance working on it? Basically, you know what I did? I refined my craft.
Right.
I've seen everything that has come through. People still tell me, I don't know if you've heard of this, most likely, you know? And
Yeah.
so those 2 years of hustling was one of the best things that I've ever done because I can literally now sit there on a stage, close the deals, do the transactions. I know what I'm talking about. I know how
Right.
to structure it. I know how to do all these different things so I can really serve people. But that's how it went. And then Constant Close was born, and we started hiring. And now we are serving investors nationwide. We do wholesale, but we're very popular for our creative finance niche because we're good at that. I've trained all my TCs. So that's kind of what's been going on the last like 3 years.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got Constant Close. That's the main business, right? And then the side business, you started your dancing business again,
Yep.
right? Was
Yep.
there anything else? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I own a clothing company, and it's like a surf skate brand. And it's called RAD, and it's called Relentless After Discipline. And that's what it stands
Where do we
for.
go? What's the website? I'm buying a shirt.
Oh, you're gonna buy shirt. I'll send it to you, okay? Because I'm gonna give you a link and everything. I'll send everything over to
Well,
you.
can we send it? Can we do it for the people too? Can I put in
Yeah,
like what's the website?
1,000%. So my website's being edited just today. I know it's like random time, but I will get it to you so you can put it in the link. I would absolutely love that
No,
because
100%. It'll be okay, guys. It'll be in the link. It'll be in the description. I'll put it. I'll make sure it's in the description when it's ready.
amazing. So yeah, and I can get that to you tonight. But this is another one of my passion projects. It's something that we've been developing over the last couple of years. The purpose of this business was our boys all love to skate,
Hmm.
and skating can attract a certain crowd. Even though I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but raising my boys as a single mom and then helping my husband helping me do that, I felt so challenged to be able to raise men in the world that we live in.
Right.
They were hearing these stuff at school. They were, being taught really stupid things about women, even about providing. So I felt like I was always hitting a wall. So we wanted to teach our kids on how to be so disciplined that they could be relentless in the world. So that's how it came to fruition, and it's a surf skate brand because that's what our family loves to do. So we're starting this year. We've been sponsoring little surf competitions. It's something that we're still growing, little skate competitions, but we're wanting it to get out there and to get global. I know that's a big dream, but it's something I'm very
No,
passionate
you can do
about
it.
because we want to give these shirts to guys like yourself, or guys like my husband, or guys like I don't know why I can't remember his name, but a couple of people that I have in mind
Case
that
Morby might
yeah,
be a good one.
yeah, people like that. But there was a skater that I couldn't think of, and this is where I lose it sometimes. But
Carlos Reyes, Jamil Damji, famous
yeah,
people we know.
well, to people that uphold that type of aura of what a man is supposed to be,
Hmm. What
because
is a man supposed to be? I'm curious. Like, how do you define that? Because that's a big thing that like I've seen. I agree in society, like we've lost that a little bit. I think it's kind of I don't think you're really taught it. I was taught by my dad, and he brought me to a lot of men's groups, which was really good. It taught me like
Yeah.
concepts of
Awesome.
like honor,
Yeah.
forgiveness, like how you get past like just being good with your emotions and expressing them in a way that is strength
Yes.
and isn't there are ways to express your emotions with strength without needing to lash out and get into fights and stuff. So that's
100%.
what my mind goes to. But how do you define it? Or like, what do you mean? I want to know. I want it in your words.
Yeah. So masculinity, when I was at that event that I talked about collaboration because collaboration is something that we hear about all the time, which is so very important. But I felt like the foundational base of collaboration is really the masculine and the feminine. So to touch
Mhm.
kind of on what the masculine is yes, our men are providers. Yes, our men have that masculine quality. Yes, they are hunters. Yes, they are all of these different things. But let's paint a picture. What I do know about men is that they do have a side of where they have those emotions, where men have other needs than the entertainment industry says that they need, that they
Right.
are human beings and that they are a full person, emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, and that they need these needs to be met. And we need men out there that can say, I cry sometimes, or my wife didn't do this and it made me feel a little unseen, or having these types of conversations to make it more common, and they can still hone into their masculine power. They can still
Right.
hone into blazing paths. They can still hone into, protecting us and providing for us, but also being able to shine light on the ultimate form of collaboration, which is the feminine. And that's saying, I could blaze that path, but I know that there's some woman that's going to come through, that needs to come through, that's going to make this house a home, that is going to be able to communicate to other people in the world, so that this guy's business can connect and impact with people more. So I really feel like it's the combination of two that makes a beautiful collaboration. But I want to paint the picture of having masculine guys out there that are very masculine, that look like the Rock, but can talk about how sensitive they are. Have those conversations so my boys, so their kids don't feel shamed by having feelings. I don't feel
Right.
shamed by, navigating these paths that aren't accepted by our community. And this might be a little bit of an off base, but one of the things that I got passionate about is not to go down a dark hole, but like the child sex trafficking. I
Mhm.
learned about it because I lived in Arizona. It was one of the biggest places for that,
Hmm.
and they broke it down how that went down to the porn industry, and how that this whole circle of kind of what we're fed out there affected men, or painting a picture, or even the American people. So I know that's like a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously this purpose brand is a reason of why, okay, you need to discipline all things, spiritual things, physical things, mental things, and emotional things. At that point in time, sweetheart, then you can be relentless. Then you can accomplish anything that you want to do. And that's the ultimate form of some type of balance. It's like a circle,
Yeah. I mean,
and
you
the
won't
circle.
be able to achieve what you want without being in tune with your emotions. It's impossible.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be told to men, I think, and like in
Yeah.
inspiring them is like you don't get it. Like it if you aren't in tune with your emotions, you're not gonna make it. If you don't understand why you're getting angry over a deal and aren't able to handle it, you're not gonna achieve anything. It's impossible. You
Yeah.
have to be
So
in
true.
tune with that.
You really do. And you could probably speak to this better than I can, Jonah. It's like having those conversations, and I think that's something that needs to happen in the business world. It's like we're learning KPIs, we're learning systems, we're learning acquisitions and dispositions. Let's talk a little bit more about mindset. And
Yeah.
when we get into mindset, let's not just talk about manifestation. Let's talk about spiritual, emotional, with the respect and consideration that everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But I think we could dive deep a little bit into that because, as we said before, it's a people business. We're dealing with human beings. And it doesn't matter what type of business, if you are not catering your business to these human beings, at some point in time, it's going to be either a revolving door or your business is not going to succeed. We need to focus on the people.
I mean, it's also just everything. Like people don't.
Right.
I think that's what's cool about Sub 2 and Astro and all these communities specifically, is that people don't understand that it's much more of a spiritual process than you might think.
Yeah.
Being successful in general. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about Wolf of Wall Street or anything like that. Maybe he was just having sex with hookers and doing coke all the time, but I, that is not like. But he also ended up in jail. So like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
actually want to sustainably be successful, it is about the spirituality. And like my business coach, what he says to me always is, definitionally, if you want to achieve something different in your life, you have to become a different person. The old you has to die. My favorite quote ever, I don't know who said it, I could look it up. It's, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Nobody ever wants to
Oh
die.
gosh, that's so true. And
Yeah,
it's
which
gonna
is,
happen, right? Whether we like it
yeah,
or not, like it's gonna happen. Yeah.
it is going to happen. So I
Love
know
that.
I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I'm going to end it with, what is Constant Close doing? What's the future of Constant Close right now?
Yeah. So Constant Close, I still think we're in our baby phases because we're about in year 4. So the first 5 years, it's been a ride. What we're doing
Mhm.
now is we're expanding a little bit, just because we've really paid attention to what our clients need. So we've mastered the TC. I can confidently say there's nobody out there like us that can help on that full range of the creative and the wholesale side. What we've added is now disposition this year. So we can dispo your deal in all 50 states. And in addition to that, we are bringing in some transactional funding. And
Oh, nice.
there is a new product coming out soon, probably like within the next, it should be on our website in the next 3 to 4 weeks, with some type of help in regards to the due on sale clause. That's what I will say.
Okay.
And that'll be something, if you're in the creative field, pay attention. It's a common concern, but we are just expanding a little bit. But we are, part of our value is where your connector piece in all 50 states. You don't got to worry about anything. We know the deals. We have the partners. We can help you scale and focus on your superpower. Let us do the messy work, and you go get some more deals.
Rashell, can I put in my vote as to what I really want you to do more than anything else?
Yeah.
I want you to create a Constant Close community like Sub 2, where I pay $10,000 and then I put in my TC to learn how to TC. I think that could be awesome. Just throwing it out there.
Here's the thing. Maybe you and I got to talk about this later, but I was going to do like a TC Academy like that.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is people told me I was crazy. They're like, why are you going to train people to do what you do? But I struggled because
No,
I do.
that's so stupid. That's
Yeah.
that would be like, why does Pace
Yeah.
why does Pace train people
Yeah.
what you do?
The bottom line is there's people out there that even if they learn, they don't want to do the paperwork, but there's people out there that are not my clients that have a TC that could really find that valuable. So I've been spinning that around in my
I
head.
guarantee you, see how much. Imagine where Pace would be without Sub 2. Like honestly, like I think he's doing. He would obviously be successful, but I think he's skyrocketed way more because of Sub 2. I think it's his. I think it's his calling card. To be honest, like
Oh,
that's more. It's what he has. He has. I keep telling him. I don't know if you've been watching his stories where he's like, he's just like, if you wait for the red light, don't do it. Have you been seeing these? I've been seeing these stories and I'm like, dude, you can't, people will listen to you and go through red lights when they're not supposed to. It's just my little like joke with him where I'm
no,
like,
it's
hey,
just true.
don't, like, I get it. Like, don't let things keep you back in life. Like, this is not the right one. People will follow you.
No, I hear that on the daily. And I remember the first year working with Pace, I heard all the time, Pace said to do this, but everybody has their own perception and just like what you're saying about what he's saying. So sometimes I was like, then I got to that point and I was like, no, you probably misunderstood it. This is actually, but yeah, they do. They definitely listen. He's definitely a good guy to listen to, but some people take it, a little bit left. Sometimes.
Rashell, I guarantee you, if you start a community, just another community like Sub 2, and you could even start it in Sub 2 at the beginning, like I would easily pay $10,000 to be in that community so that whenever, like, I'm not going to learn how to be a TC, but I will definitely put my TC in there and like have her come to Zooms and do the trainings and like learn how to do it. And like
Yeah.
I will, and like I'm just saying, like 100% there's a value there. And whoever's telling you don't do it because you're teaching people your secrets, that's like stupidest idea ever, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
hey,
throwing it
if
out
you
there.
told me that there would be enough people that would be interested, and I would be totally down to do that. And kind of like the same concept of these mentorships they get in there. The neat thing about creative finance, you guys, is that you teach them the foundational basics, but you learn over. I mean, I'm still learning. There's not I've seen pretty much everything, but then you find these people that learn. You know how Pace comes up with these certain things, or people that come up with these. I saw someone wrap a land contract in a contract for deed. Like the attorney wrapped it, and it wasn't an actual wrap, but it was like a wrap with another deed. And I was like, oh, because you're getting into
What?
all of these different things. So the neat thing about something like you're saying like that is that it would be something that you could help people learn and continue to grow. But thank you for saying that. I'm
I
happy.
100% think that's, at least for me, that would be a lot more important than a due on sale course. It's like that's
Yeah,
amazing. I love it, and you
yeah,
should 100% do it.
yeah,
But like, I think that there is a need for a certain type of person who's meant to be a TC too. It's not
yeah,
just like me who pay for it, where I'm going to put my TC in. It's
yeah.
also that there is a certain type of person that's meant to be a TC and not meant to be a closer.
Right.
Like I don't know if you've been paying attention to the avatar zooms Pace has been doing, but like I think people are starting to realize they're like, wait a minute, we've been glorifying the closer too much when I'm not that person.
Yes.
So I'm just saying I think there's a need. So you tell me how much is enough. You think about the number of like, okay, if Jonah, if you can get 100 people to sign a petition, I will get the petition signed because I want
Yes.
that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm good.
So
The thing about it is I've already developed it.
you
It's already
have
done.
it?
I already have it. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I already
What
have
are
it.
you doing?
So, well, the thing about it is, yeah. So if I can, I can do on my stories. If you can get people that are interested and would pay that amount to be in a mentorship, to where not only would they be trained, but then they would have access to me, from time to time. I'll make it very, very clear. Pace is Pace, and I am not Pace, so I will not be doing 24-hour Zooms.
Right.
I have a 25-year-old kid that will probably be getting married in the next couple of years, and I want to be with my family, but at least having everything there that will support them to be rock stars. I would, oh my gosh, that would give me so much joy to be able to impact more people like that.
I guarantee you it's the next, you have the course.
Yeah,
You
I have
have the entire, why did you make the entire course and you're not doing this?
well,
What do you
part of the reason was I've been in different partnerships over the last couple of years, and
Mhm.
you can't, as of right now, I own the business, and so at that point in time, you can't really do anything without the vote of it being collaborative. And I think everybody had amazing intentions, but it was maybe a lack of an abundance mindset. And but I created it for that reason, and so yeah, if we can get interest in that, let me know. I'm all
Doing that.
about it.
All right, I'm gonna get a petition signed. I'm for
Okay.
sure doing that. I'm gonna do, that'll be my little thing because I want it. So like that'll motivate me to pay for it so that if you make it, here's what the thing is. You got to be like, you can't do the 6 month thing. Like if you do the 6 month thing, I'm not going to be as interested. I don't know if you're planning on doing that, at least for me. And you
Yeah.
don't have to just listen to me. This is completely your
Right.
thing. But if you made it lifetime, where like you have the course lifetime, you don't have to be like Pace. Just do like you could do a Zoom or two a week where it's just like 2 hours or 3 hours long, where you just do a Q&A or something.
Yeah.
Then that would be more than enough for me to join it. And then I would immediately put my TC through it. I have a TC now that's just dedicated to my team.
I love
And
it.
but I am going to struggle teaching her creative. That to me is going to be like ridiculously hard. Easy to teach wholesaling. That's a very simple contract, but to
Right.
teach but to teach someone who's been a realtor she's been a realtor, or at least been in real estate for like 20, 25 years, you're like rewiring brain cells.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody who's watching this and would get value from that, post a comment. I'm going to start the petition here. We got we've been ranging from 3 to 7 people live. So people should start putting in comments if they want this. And then I'm going to collect it. I'm going to put that on my to-do list because I want it. I can't believe you have the course and you haven't released.
Well, it's something that I thought about, and it was just kind of documenting your journey, right? I always thought if I had a business like Constant Close, how am I going to teach them? So I just naturally made my own channel, naturally made my own videos and stuff like that. So, but yeah, let me know. I'm excited about that. If that happens, we'll do another video like this.
100%.
Maybe do like a launch or something like that.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm all about that. Thank you for supporting me and seeing that in
100%.
me. I would love to serve people on a bigger level on that aspect. And thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
100%. I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I'll let you go because I know you got children, as we've been talking about the entire time. And that's why, I told you I'd try to keep it under an hour. Now we're at an hour 20, and this just generally happens with me.
Yeah.
So if you were to go back to yourself when you were starting your entrepreneurial journey, or kind of from what I've heard from your story, like when you were going through that first divorce or going through those really hard times in your life, I'm going to switch the question for you. What would you say to yourself now? What would you say to yourself then with like now, as you are now?
Yeah. 2 things. Trust yourself. I really believe, not only as women, but I do feel like whatever, like I said before, universe, God speaks to you. And I think I knew the decisions before I made them, and I waited too long. And everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to be good. Stop worrying. Stop, getting all in your head. Trust yourself, relax, and know that everything is going to be fine. If I could have heard that at a younger me, and especially from the older me, a lot of anxiety would have been saved. So, and I hope people will adopt that into their lives. I mean, mistakes are only a direction onto your path.
Right.
And so just trust in yourself. You have everything that you need that innately was given to you, and relax. Everything's going to be okay.
Cool. Yeah. I love it. All right. Where do the people reach you? Is it Instagram? I put in the website, www.constantclose.com. How else should people reach you? How should they?
So I have my Instagram at Rashell Jarvis. Now I'm going to send you over the t-shirt business, but I also am just starting my YouTube page. So I'm going to send Jonah all the links so he can put everything together. So I will send that over. Everything
That's how it's spelled, right? Or is it at the Rashell Jarvis?
It's the Rashell Jarvis, I think.
Right. At the Rashell Jarvis.
Yeah. And so everything is going to be just my first and my last name. So that's how you can find me. Don't skip my number. I have people that skip
Really? Actually? That's so funny. I love that. That's hilarious. Guys, don't skip Tracer. Just be a normal human being and DM her, and then actually add value so you can get her number. That's what you're supposed to do, guys. Amazing. I'm going to wrap it up here, Rashell. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been amazing. I'm going to start the petition very soon. Guys, I'm pretty sure this is episode 26. This is either episode 26 or episode 27. We got to screwed it up. But we're wrapping up episode 26 of Scorch the Fears. Rashell, you were amazing. Everybody, next week we got, I actually don't know who we have next week. I completely forgot. But we're going to have somebody amazing. It's going to be amazing. Rashell, thank you so much. I'm wrapping it up.
I love it.
Guys, I will see you next week, 5 p.m. PST, Thursday. Let's go.